Money Supply in the U.S., presented by Team 6. During this presentation, we will be defining the money supply, discussing the Federal Reserve and U.S. banking system, the function of the Board of Governors and the Federal Reserve, the supply of money and the effect on the economy, and the Federal Reserve control method. The definition of money supply is the total supply of money in circulation in a given country's economy at a given time. There are several measures for the supply, such as M1, that includes coin, currency held by the public, traveler's checks, checking account balances, NOW accounts, and balances in credit unions. M2 includes M1 plus small time deposits, saving deposits, and retail money market mutual funds. M3 includes all of M2 plus Eurodollar deposits, repurchase agreements, long-term deposits, and institutional MMFs. This chart reflects the annual money supply growth in the U.S. The Federal Reserve uses M1, a narrow measure of money's function, as a medium of exchange, M2, a broader measure that also reflects money's function as a store of value, and M3, a still broader measure that covers items that many regard as close substitutes for money. The Federal Reserve began in 1913 to create and maintain a stable banking system throughout the United States. The Federal Reserve has several functions, with the first playing the role as the bank of all banks. For example, if transactions need to be made between banks, then it is usually done through the Fed. The second function allows the Federal Reserve to act as the government's bank and allowing the tax system to process incoming and outgoing transactions of its checking account. The Federal Reserve acts as the regulatory system by setting policies for our banking system, ensuring everything goes smoothly and we, the consumers, are protected. Lastly, the Fed is always the primary resource when financial crisis may occur. There was no initial banking system in the U.S. until 1781, when Alexander Hamilton wrote to Congress debating that other banking systems have been successful in other nations and something the U.S. should invest in. And a few months later, the first American bank was created in Philadelphia. The United States banking system allows the cash flow movement to continue. Just like any other system, they maintain this control through rules and regulations, such as how much asset to withhold, issue, and allow to be borrowed. There are several different functions of the U.S. banking system, which will be gone over next. The Federal Reserve Board of Governors has 7 board members, each serving a 14-year term. The members are nominated by the President of the United States and confirmed by the Senate. They are responsible for reporting to the Speaker of the House concerning monetary affairs. The Board of Governors is charged with overseeing the policies that regulate the commercial banking system. They set and regulate monetary policies such as reserve requirements, discount rates, and open market operations. They supervise and regulate the payment of checks and ACH transactions for both federal and private parties. They also represent the U.S. in international monetary organizations. The money supply can greatly influence the economy by controlling interest rates, which are then adjusted by the Federal Reserve, thus increasing or decreasing the money available to consumers. If the Federal Reserve were to keep the interest rate low, it could lead to inflation. In opposition, if the money supply influences the Federal Reserve to increase the interest rates, thus strengthening the dollar, Americans may begin to purchase more foreign goods and invest in foreign companies. This puts added pressure on American companies to compete with cheaper foreign products. If the companies can't compete, unemployment rates rise and domestic economic growth decreases. The velocity of money is used to determine economic activity by measuring how often a unit of money is spent on goods and services domestically in a specific period of time. The 3 basic tools the Fed uses to manage the money supply are reserve requirements, open market operations, and the discount rate. The most powerful tool is the reserve requirement, a percentage of commercial banks' checking and savings accounts they must keep in the bank. When the reserve requirement is increased, money becomes scarcer. Banks have less money to lend out and money supply is reduced, which in turn will tend to reduce inflation. A decrease of the reserve requirement, in contrast, increases the funds available to banks for loans, increasing the money supply. An increase in the money supply can stimulate the economy, but can also create inflationary pressures. That is, the prices of goods and services may go up. In conclusion, there are several different measures for supply of money, ranging from currency to money market accounts to Eurodollar deposits. The Federal Reserve helps the U.S. create and maintain a stable banking system. Although an increase in the money supply puts more money in the hands of the consumer, a decrease in supply decreases spending. Thus, spending in turn causes deflation or disinflation, which is something the U.S. has been very familiar with in past years. This concludes the money supply presentation.